You know, if you've ever cut somebody in line, then fuck you. You're an asshole. You don't deserve to go do whatever it was you were trying to do. And you certainly don't deserve to have a voice or opinion or anything on such a simple matter as that one. Now, what I'm talking more specifically about is like when you go to the movie theater or you go to see a concert, maybe you're trying to get into a baseball rally or something like that, or you're at the grocery store buying Triscuits and hummus for your toast and your pita breads, and then somebody butts his way in front of you, or you butt your way in front of somebody if you're that kind of person that I'm talking about right now. Get out of here, you fucker. Okay, there we go. Then you're just a miserable dick, and that's what you are, and that's what you will forever be labeled as. You'll be called miserable dick, and then people will write that on your tombstone. If that's not engraved on your tombstone, someone's gonna come by with a hammer and a chisel and put it on your tombstone, and you'll be like, "Wow, what a dick." You'll be saying that to them, but they'll be saying that to you back in return. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you're the one being so miserable and so dickish, then I guess you don't really deserve to have any strong sorts of thoughts on the matter, you know, because you're the one who's disrespecting other people's, you know, integrity by cutting in front of them at the movie theater and taking their money and time and free thoughts. Hold on, I just had a complete brain fart there. You're the one wasting people's times. You're wasting people's times by getting in their way and not allowing them to do the thing that they were there before you doing. Now, if you see somebody that you know in line, it's okay if you go over and talk to them for like 5 minutes or so, but don't think that that entitles you to stand there in line up until you get to the front of the line and then you can do the thing that you're there to do. You know what I'm talking about? Because some people do that. I saw someone do that one time. I'm like, "Hey, fuckhead, what do you think you're doing?" He's like, "I'm just talking to my friend here." He's like, "That's fine, you can do that, but if you want to, but if you're still standing there when you get up to the booth, I'm gonna say something about it." He's like, "That's fine with me. If you say something about that, I'll just ignore you." I'm like, "Oh, you just talked to the wrong person, mister." So I told him off and I said, "Mister, if you're going to pick up that sort of tone, that sort of attitude with me, then obviously you don't know who I am. I'm SparkleDart. I will not stand for this sort of injustice. You know, I'm standing up for the little guy, which in this case happens to be me, because you're the one who's putting me in a position where I'm not so comfortable with the outcome of the situation." You know what I'm talking about? So if you'd kindly just step off, and I know step off is something that people used to say in the 80s or whatever time that was, like Home Improvement, Tim Allen type humor. But this did take place back in the 80s, this particular situation that I'm covering right now with my voice and my body and my arm gestures that I'm using very wildly, even though I'm not being recorded with video input. Oh no, I almost got Mario there for a second. Okay, so anyways, I says, "Oh no, you don't." So I take all the change out of my pocket, which was like 50 cents and pennies at the time, and I start chucking them at him, and he's like, what the heck is hitting me? I don't know what that is. It's hitting me. Just so you know, what just happened back there that was completely a mistake, but I'm so glad that happened. That was amazing. I start chucking pennies at him. He's like, "What are these?" There's like money, there's currency hitting me in the back of the head. What is this? I'm going to turn around and take a look. So he did just that, and I stood there, I was whistling, and he didn't suspect anything of it because it looked so like I was so nonchalant about the whole thing. He's like, "Well, that guy whistling couldn't have been, you know, throwing money at me because he was whistling the whole time." And even though he was the one that I just had that little run-in with, I still believe that he's innocent in this whole situation. So who could it have possibly been? He noticed that there was a homeless man sitting on the ground, and he had a little styrofoam cup that said change on it, and he said, "Not today, Mr. Homeless Man." So he started beating the shit out of the homeless man, and I just stood there and watched, and I felt so bad about it at the time. But then I later ran into that homeless man, and I said, "Hey, let me buy you a fillet of fish from McDonald's. You know, it's 2 for $1 today only." And so I did just that, and he's like, this isn't very good, I don't like fish. I don't know why you buy me fish. I'm like, Mr. Homeless Man, I'm doing you a favor by buying you this because otherwise you'd starve. I'm like, no, I wouldn't starve because like 5 other people today have already bought me McDonald's. Since I hang out in front of here all day, everybody sees me and they're like, well, that homeless man over there, he could use a meal. And so I get like 5 meals a day just from people who are trying to feel good about themselves like you are. Now I know it was probably your fault that I got beat up the other day, but honestly, that time that I got beat up the other day, that was not nearly as bad as the daily beatings I usually get from the roughnecks around here. You know, we live in a small town, and they like to take out their aggression on people who don't deserve it because they themselves feel inadequate with who they are, and because of that, they feel the need to take it out on, you know, the less fortunate, because there's no crime in doing that, even though there is. If a police officer saw a roughneck beating up a homeless man, he probably wouldn't really give a shit, and I don't blame him because, you know, I don't contribute to the society that we're a part of, and because I don't contribute to the society, then it only makes sense, it stands to reason that maybe I'm not the most trustworthy of people, and if, you know, if I can't be trusted and I don't have a home and I'm not actively working and contributing to society, then I don't really have a lot of value. But if someone can beat me up and feel good about themselves because of it, then I am adding some sort of value to society. You see what I'm talking about? I'm like, you're very insightful, Mr. Homeless Man. Are you a philosopher? He's like, yes, I had a 4-year PhD in therapy, but I never got a job because nobody cares about therapy anymore, unlike they used to in the 70s and 60s and all that sort of jazz. So, if you're a psychologist on the frontier, then just know that the avalanche of homelessness is upon you, and that's, you know, that's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna fall right down on that hole, and that's just gonna be the way that we go about doing things. Okay, whatever, that's fucked up, I don't give a shit anymore. But I don't know why I'm so angry. I'm very forceful with my language, and I feel like that's the way you have to get stuff done, is just by being forceful with your language. And some people think that's true, some people don't, maybe not so much. They think, well, I don't want to listen to somebody who's going to berate me, or it seems like is berating me. But really, if that is the case, then that's, you know, it's fine. Fine with me, whatever, I don't give that much of a shit about it. And that's mostly just because I can brush it off my shoulder, you know, I don't tend to give a lot of value to the things that strangers say to me, and that, you know, that makes sense, because if a stranger doesn't know you, actually, you know what, here's the thing about this, though, is that, okay, if a stranger says something rude about you personally, and it's true, then you have to be a little bit upset about it, because that person doesn't have a filter. Since they don't know you, they have no allegiance towards you, and they have absolutely no reason to say something nice about you. So what they default to is saying something mean to you, and because of that, you're like, well, my friend, even if he thought that, he might not say that to me, only because he knows that it would hurt my feeling, and I don't want to have my feelings hurt by somebody who's my friend. But it also hurts my feelings when somebody that I don't know says that, because that means that they're being more genuine with me. If they're being more genuine with me, then it's difficult for me to ascertain whether or not what they're saying is truthful. Maybe they're just trying to hurt my feelings, and maybe they just think that I am a jerk or whatever. But if that is the case, then I'd like to at least make an attempt to fix it. And if I can't fix it, then if I can't fix it, then if I can't fix it, then I just have to accept it and live with that flaw. I have to live with that flaw and be a person who has a flaw. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with being a flawed person. If you've ever read anything like Marvel comics, most of their characters have flaws, and that's what makes them good characters. Like the Wolverine, he's just a jackass who nobody wants to be around. And Spider-Man, he can't get the girl because he's a fucking nerd. Well, he does get the girl because he's a Mary Sue character, and for Mary Sue characters, everything works out fine, and there's absolutely no quarrel or strife or nothing like that. And that's just how it is for characters, and that makes them not so interesting. Now, DC is the king, the champion, the kingpin of making not so interesting characters, and the reason why I say that is because they got characters like Superman who have absolutely zero flaws, except for the fact that he's weak to mineral that can't be found on Earth, which I think is disgusting. I think that's an absolutely gross misnomer. I think that that's something that should be reasonably... I think Superman should have a more obvious flaw than he's weak to a mineral. That's just stupid. That's honestly... it's not that that's like bad storytelling or anything like that. I just think that that's stupid, you know what I mean? It's not interesting, and that's all I'm gonna say about it, is that it's not interesting, you know what I mean? So if you like Superman, I apologize for saying that. Superman's been around for a very long time. He's been around for a very long time, and if you formed an opinion on him based off of the more recent comics, then I guess that's up to you, but I think that a lot of the older comics paint him as an infallible type character, and I think that that's, you know, that's wrong. Like, if you want a character with flaws and you want to watch something like, you know, Everybody Loves Raymond, you know, the character, he's a good guy to a fault, right? That's the joke of the show, is that no, it's actually not that. He's actually kind of a jerk to his family, but that's fine because, you know, his family, they can take it. What's the old saying? So we'll hunt him because we know he can take it. Or, I don't know, it's some Batman thing. Fuck it, I don't know what that is. I'm not a comic book nerd like you fucking people probably are. I've never read a comic book in my life except for Archie comics. You know, I think that Jughead, I think he's got some good systems of belief. I think we should all take a note out of Jughead's page and learn to be more like Jughead, except for wearing those stupid-ass crowns. I don't think we should wear those stupid-ass crowns. I think that's something Jughead does that doesn't necessarily... I don't know how old Archie comics are, but I know they're really fucking old. But if people actually wore those stupid-ass crown things in the past, then, you know, more power to you. But if you're wearing those things now, they just look dumb as shit. So don't wear a dumb as shit crown hat. If you're gonna wear a dumb as shit crown hat, do it as like a joke, as a lark, as a Halloween decoration or something. I don't know. It's stupid. But Jughead likes hamburgers, so go ahead and get yourself a hamburger and enjoy it, and don't let anybody tell you. Now, people say all the time things like McDonald's is gross, you shouldn't eat McDonald's. I'm like, whatever, that's fucked up that you would say something like that, because if people want to eat certain types of food, you should let them and not judge them based off of their life choices. So anyways, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. I'm SparkleDart, goodbye. Mwah.